Good evening, I'm Mike Wise. We begin with the breaking news we've been following all evening out of Ottawa. 3 people are dead and nearly 2 dozen are injured after a transit bus slammed into a bus shelter at the start of rush hour this afternoon. That bus driver has been arrested.
The driver of the bus was detained on scene by police and will be interviewed at our police station.
The crash happened just before 4 o'clock in the city's transitway system. During an evening news conference, Ottawa's mayor said 2 passengers and 1 person waiting on the platform died. There are several patients still listed in critical condition in hospital. Let's go to CBC's Evan Dyer, who has been at the scene all evening. So, Evan, what do we know at this point about what happened?
Well, Mike, right behind me here, you'll see a pedestrian overpass, which goes over what in Ottawa is called the transitway, a sunken road where buses run from the center of the city to the suburbs. And directly under that bridge is the bus. That's where the crash occurred. This was a fully loaded double-decker bus coming at the height of rush hour, 10 to 4, westwards, coming towards us, essentially, when we're told it began to swerve before careening off the road to the right and striking a bus shelter, which it hit at about the level of the upper deck. So really shearing off part of that upper deck and causing 2 fatalities on the bus and killing another person on the ground. One of the people on that bus was Bilal Gill. He was a passenger at the back of the upper deck. Let's listen to him describe how it felt.
Basically what happened was the bus just started swerving. I guess it hit the curb or hit something, started swerving, and then the driver couldn't get control back, and then it just hit the Westboro, the shelter thing. It just crashed right into it. Yeah, and then a lot of people started screaming. The people at the front that got pinned, I guess, under their seats and stuff.
So Bilal waited there for a while. Police and firefighters, he say, showed up fairly quickly, and they were able to extract people from the upper deck of the bus using ladders. We still saw those ladders on the side of the bus when we arrived here.
Incredible scene there, Evan. So we heard from officials a short time ago. What else have they had to say about the investigation?
Well, one of the details, of course, that you mentioned is the arrest of the driver, which was reported by the Chief of Police, Charles Bourdalow. He said that police had been required to take her into custody. He then said that there was something that led them to do that, but he didn't want to give details as to what it was exactly. But obviously that raises more questions in a sense than it answers. The mayor of Ottawa, Jim Watson, acknowledged that there's going to be a lot of investigation to do going forward. The Transportation Safety Board, for example, will want to examine the bus. Let's listen to him.
Over the coming hours and days, the Ottawa Police and Transportation Services will continue to look into exactly what transpired earlier today. But our focus for now must be to provide care and sympathy for those injured and affected by this tragic accident.
I'm sure many people will remember that this is not the first tragic accident involving a double-decker bus in Ottawa. They came into service in 2012, and only a year later there was a very serious accident where an Ottawa double-decker bus collided with a train, causing 6 fatalities and a number of serious injuries. So this is the second serious fatal accident involving double-decker buses in this city.
Well, so many questions still to be figured out about what happened today. Yeah. Thank you, Evan. That's Evan Dyer reporting from Ottawa tonight. And Mayor John Tory and Premier Doug Ford both offering their condolences tonight. Tory tweeting, "I'm saddened to see the news about this horrific crash at Westboro Station in Ottawa. On behalf of all Toronto residents, I want to send our support to all those affected by this tragic incident. Thank you to all the first responders on scene working to help the injured tonight." And Premier Ford releasing a statement saying, in part, "This is a difficult day for our nation's capital, and my heart goes out to the victims and their loved ones. I know that the people of Ontario have them in their hearts tonight." And some breaking news from our city tonight. There's been a shooting near Bathurst Street and Fort York Boulevard. It happened just before 9 o'clock. A man in his 20s rushed to hospital in serious, possibly life-threatening condition. There's no word yet on any suspects. Police say residents should expect a heavy police presence in the area this evening. And a man in his 20s is in hospital tonight after being struck by a black Mazda. It happened around 7 p.m. just outside the University of Toronto's Scarborough campus. The man was rushed to a trauma center with life-threatening injuries. The driver remained on scene. And police are conducting a major search tonight for a missing senior citizen. Albert Marbena went missing yesterday morning from his home in northeast Brampton near Dixie and Sandalwood, only later to be spotted on security camera 17 kilometers away near Finch and Humberline Drive. Police have set up a command post in that area tonight. Now, with the cold temperatures, they are obviously concerned for the 74-year-old's safety. With the latest on our search, our Adrian Chung joins us live from that command post on Humberline Drive tonight. Adrian.
Well, Mike, it's been now over 24 hours and Marbina has still not been found, and police are especially concerned given two factors. One, his age at 74 years old. The other, the weather out here, which has been very cold and is only getting colder now. Police consider this a level 3 search, one of top priority. They're putting a lot of resources into it, including a drone in the area and a dive team in the nearby Humber River. And it's likely that Marbina is still in the area. He was spotted this afternoon just before 4 p.m. by security camera footage at Kipling and West Humber. That's about a 10-minute drive east from where we are at this command post. Have a listen to police on just how widespread this search has become.
We have 2 canine units out now, officers searching with their dogs. We've had the mounted unit here with several horses searching the wooded area behind us, the ravines. We have the marine unit here as well. They've been searching water bodies in the area.
Now, Adrian, the area you're in on Humberline Drive, it's not close to the man's missing home in northeast Brampton there. So do we know how he ended up there?
So it's not clear just quite yet, but we spoke to Marbina's family. They say that the 74-year-old has been living with dementia, and while he doesn't live in this neighborhood, he is familiar with it, which is likely what drew him here. Marbina's son spoke to reporters, and he said that he speaks Assyrian along with a little bit of English. Listen to his plea on asking people to look out for his father tonight.
It's pretty hard, of course. It's my dad, right? See, what can we do? It is what it is. We're doing our best. The cops are doing their best to find him, and you guys, thank you so much for everything, for the help.
Now, again, police are asking people who live in this area to check their security camera footage, again, in the event that he is spotted somewhere among these houses. Mike?
He's been spotted twice already. Check them tonight if you can. Adrian Chung reporting live from Humberline Drive for us tonight. Thanks, Adrian. The winners of Ontario's cannabis retail lottery came out this evening. 25 people or firms finding out tonight that they won the chance to try to set up a legal cannabis store later this year. And they beat some incredible odds. There were a total of 17,320 applications submitted for those 25 spots, although several hundred were disqualified for submitting multiple entries. Winning tonight doesn't automatically guarantee a business license. The winners have 5 days to file a $6,000 license application fee, obtain a $50,000 line of credit, and prove they can set up a store, buy inventory, and train staff in time for an April 1st opening date. Meteorologist Colette Kennedy's here with her first look at the forecast. This is the point, Colette, that you tell us that the cold's all done and it's going to be nice and warm all weekend, right?
Is that what? I might not have a job. I can tell you that, though. Yeah, you know what, Mike, though, you're onto something because, of course, we're seeing the winds not as strong as what they were, like even this morning. They eased off into the afternoon hours and our earlier evening hours. And so because the winds aren't as strong, even though the temperatures are running below seasonal, and not getting as much of a wind chill factor in there. So it feels a little bit better into the weekend, but the milder air really comes at the beginning of next week. And I say milder, I mean kind of getting us just back to seasonal for this time of year. I've got the broad perspective on here because I do want to just show you the system. I've mentioned it a few times this week. It's been developing through the southern plains, tries to make its way up here. Some of the cloud cover will have an impact on us through the GTA, but because we have high pressure in place, that kind of is a blocking force, and that's going to keep the precipitation generally to the south of us. Could have a few flurries. Further west you are, the better chance of seeing that. So I've just put a slim chance at 30% for us. Minus 10 tonight. It's going to feel like we're in the minus teens, low teens, like minus 13, minus 14. Tomorrow afternoon, becoming a mix of sun and cloud, and minus 5, but still feeling a bit on the cool side, even though those winds are going to be a little bit better, Mike.
We'll take anything. Okay, thanks, Colette.
You're welcome.
There's a growing fear among some community groups that Ontario Place could be turned over to big business. Right now, it is a public space, but the province recently appointed a new chair for the waterfront attraction who may have a different vision. Lorenda Redekop has that story.
Ontario Place is almost 50 years old now, and it is starting to show its age. There are spots of rust on the bridge behind me as well. Some paint is peeling. There is revitalization work going on, but community groups were really alarmed when they saw recent comments by the new board chair. Jim Genoux was quoted as saying that it is in complete disrepair. As well, the finance minister confirmed anything is possible for the future of this site. Ken Greenberg is on the board of Waterfront for All.
Worst case would be something like a casino. The casino, of all the things you could put on the waterfront, is probably the worst choice because it wants to be a big black box where no windows, where people get lost inside with the slot machines and with a sea of parking around it, because that's typically how people come.
A statement from the province says the government has been hard at work as we move forward with our plan to turn Ontario Place into a spectacular world-class tourism destination. And it says it will have more details in the coming weeks. I spoke with the two other levels of government about this.
Where I get nervous is that I've seen what that means in Doug Ford's lexicon before. That means big Ferris wheels and casinos and tour buses and parking lots and paving stuff over.
Ontario Place is not and cannot be for sale. In fact, part of the land within Ontario Place is owned by the city, and we're not selling it.
The group Waterfront for All wants to hear from members of the public about what Torontonians want for this site. It's holding an event at Metro Hall tomorrow afternoon. Lorenda Redicop, CBC News, Toronto.
A Toronto man is raising privacy concerns after his dashboard video cameras were turned off while his car was being worked on at a dealership. We'll have that story after the break. A story now about a Toronto man upset that a mechanic accessed and then deleted footage from his dash cams. Now, his dash cams were on when he took in his car for servicing, but when he got the car back, he found someone serviced his cameras and turned them off without his knowledge. Chris Glover has the story.
This is Haider Faraz. And this is his dashboard camera shooting inside the vehicle. He also has one pointing out. He uses them to spot crimes, for insurance purposes, and for the general security of his vehicle.
In November, he took his BMW to the dealership. First, the employee notices the camera shooting out and turns it off. Then he gets inside and turns that one off too.
Well, that kind of raises a flag. Why did he do that? Like, maybe he feared something, or maybe like now I don't know what happened to my car, and for that time being, like, isn't under their control now. Like, they could do anything. They could speed up with it. They could have damages done to it. Like, I don't know. Like, it's the same thing as, like, for example, if I have a house and I hire contractors to come work in my house and I have cameras pointing in my house, they come and disconnect my cameras. They're like, oh, we don't want to be in your camera. But you can't do that because recording for my safety, for my property safety. It's the same thing as my car. You're not allowed to disconnect it without a permission.
A couple weeks later, Faraz took his vehicle back to the same dealership, and it happened again.
This is the date. Today is December 9, 2018. Look at the date.
He doesn't have video this time because he says not only did the mechanic stop the recording, Faraz says he also deleted files and did a factory reset.
This has raised a concern from privacy because I have my family in my car and we have conversations that they actually had to go through footages to find their own footage to delete. And this is a 100% no-no. Like, you cannot access people's private information.
Faraz didn't notice it was off, and as a result, his dashboard camera missed this collision, instead only capturing the wreck after on his phone.
So there was a head-on collision in front of me, right in front of me, like two meters away from me. But when I wanted, the footage wasn't there.
So I oversee all the service and all the parts departments we have.
Faraz recorded his phone call with the dealership's director of fixed operations.
They're not comfortable being watched, okay, without their knowledge, okay. So yeah, they do disconnect them. I'm not gonna, argue that point, okay. They do disconnect them, and it's probably a common practice in our trade.
This is not fair what they're doing to people. Someone has to step up and tell them what they're doing is wrong. And I think this is going to be me, because I think this dealership is getting used to it and they're doing it to other people, and people are just quiet about it and they're not knowing their right.
I called the dealership in question to find out their perspective on all of this, but they did not return my calls. I did call other dealerships and mechanics around the city. They said that while they don't have any specific policies around all of this, they certainly would not be touching somebody else's dash cams without speaking with them first. Chris Glover, CBC News, Toronto.
A live look downtown, another cold night and cold weekend ahead of us, but not as windy as today. Colette is back with your full weather forecast after the break.
The weather update is brought to you by Train Extreme Conditions Testing. It's hard to stop a train, really hard. Train, the most reliable heating and cooling brand.
Colette's back with her extended forecast. So cold today, but nowhere near our record cold for this day.
Yeah, you're right, Mike. You know, our record cold, even the wind chill this morning, well, that was approaching where the record cold temperature is for this date in history, holding since 1968, minus 26.7. Average for this time of year, -2 for a high, around -10 for a low. So, yeah, we've just been kind of near where we should be. It's been those winds that were the problem, and those have eased off. Record snow for this date in history, 1991, less than 10 centimeters. I'm a little underwhelmed by that. We're not looking at much in the way of snow here. We could see some flurries through the overnight. They've been a little bit scattered, but more so to the west of the GTA system that's passing kind of to the south of us, giving off some of the cloud cover. And again, areas further west, we'll see more of this through the overnight and through the day tomorrow. The further central or east you are, the more you get into a mix of sun and cloud or even partly cloudy skies and more sunshine. Better chance for all of us to be seeing that sunshine due to high pressure for the second half of the weekend. Overnight tonight for southwestern Ontario, -7 to -9, definitely picking up more of the cloud cover from the system there and that chance of light flurries. Not only that, but those lingering even into tomorrow. So I do have that chance for you in the forecast for Windsor. Temperature coming up to the freezing mark, stays below though Sarnia at -2 and London a little cooler, but a better chance for some sunshine in there at -3. The GTA tonight going down to -9 for St. Catharines, but in the GTA itself, -10 really generally the overnight low. Tomorrow afternoon we warm up to -5. It's still going to feel like close to -8 to -10, though, with the wind chill factor. And you see I've put some flurries in again, Hamilton there and westward, the better chance that we'll see that. All right, through the weekend, as we head into Sunday, that dome of high pressure just really settles in. That system slides further east towards the east coast. Because of that, sunshine, but cold, -6, still feeling like -11. That's in the afternoon, so the earlier morning hours are chillier than that. Sunday night into Monday, we go down to -8. Monday, we hang on to the sunshine. Nice to see that. And also, I appreciate the fact that we're going to see the temperature coming back to seasonal value. So Monday, not only do we get there, by the time we get to Tuesday, we get above. And in fact, we see the temperature getting above the freezing mark. So the high on Tuesday coming up to 1 degree, which, I don't know, that makes me happy.
It's the weekend when we look forward to returning to work.
Yeah, there you go. So it'll warm up, right?
Thanks a lot, Colette.
You're welcome.
The Raptors looking for their 4th straight win, welcoming the Nets. Kawhi Leonard with a great game tonight. First quarter, he drives and throws down a two-handed slam. Brooklyn would get out to an early lead here, but Toronto would pull away in the second one. Serge Ibaka misses the three, but Kawhi soars in for the putback. Hey, Raptors would keep rolling in the third in transition, and Leonard with a no-look pass to Pascal Siakam. The Raptors cruise to a 122-105 win. Well, Kevin Hart's new comedy, The Upside, is a remake of a French hit. A wealthy author is confined to a wheelchair and suddenly has to rely on an assistant for everything. With more on what to expect and whether The Upside can help Hart's career, here's CBC's film critic, Eli Glasner.
You can have any girl you want. What about this lady with all the Botox? I'll be perfect for each other. You can't move your body, she can't move her face.
So there we are. Based on the incredibly successful French film, The Upside relocates the action to New York City. Bryan Cranston plays Philip, a fantastically rich author and successful businessman who was injured in a hang gliding accident and is now paralyzed from the neck down. Phil needs a new living assistant. Enter Kevin Hart as Dell, an ex-con who needs a signature for his parole officer.
Relax, it's not a holdup. Just sign this from the police.
How would I sign it?
I don't know. Slowly. What, don't your arms work?
They don't.
You can move your mouth.
As can you.
But here's the thing. The Upside is supposed to show us another side of Kevin Hart, maybe to help Hart move on from his Oscar hosting stumble. Last month, when some homophobic tweets and jokes from Hart's past resurfaced, Hart refused to apologize and eventually parted ways with the show. Recently, he was on Ellen, where she was complimenting him on his acting ability and the different layers he shows in this film. Well, let's take a look at this scene where Dell is learning Phil's morning routine.
I'll show you how to get Mr. Lacoste ready for the day.
If you're not too busy.
No, me and Mags got this. Get to show her my sensitive side. It's best viewed unclothed and from behind.
And that's just the warm-up for this scene where he learns how to replace the catheter.
Have you ever changed a catheter?
Yep, we have a film where part of the comedy is Dell being terrified to touch a man's penis to the point where he can't even say the word. Now, when confronted about his homophobic humor, Hart has said he's not that guy anymore, but he still may have some evolving to do.
Just relax. I am relaxed. This is me being relaxed.
What's frustrating about The Upside is that Hart shows us glimmers of potential. There are moments that suggest he's capable of much more if he could just stop playing the usual motor mouth with the heart of gold. Go for the honest moments instead of the easy laughs. Instead, a couple of joints and joy rides are all it takes for Dell to magically change Phil's life. Too bad in real life, the learning curve is a little steeper. 2.5 stars out of 5. Eli Glasser, CBC News, Toronto.
CBC will be streaming the memorial being held in Burlington Sunday afternoon for Mike Taylor, the musician known as Beard Guy from the band Walk Off the Earth.
Some other girls were nice enough, but you need someone to spice it up. So if you want to party, call me, we can rev it up like a Harley.
Taylor there on the right died of natural causes on December 29th. His bandmates will perform at the memorial along with members of Arkells, the Bare Naked Ladies, and USS. It'll take place at 4:30 at Civic Square in downtown Burlington. If you can't make it to the event, CBC Music will be streaming it live on our new GEM streaming app. And if you're staying in town, be warned the TTC is closing a major chunk of Line 1 due to signal improvements. The first closure of 2019 will affect the system both Saturday and Sunday from St. Clair West to Union stations. Commuters will have access to shuttle buses, but be advised DuPont and Museum stations will be closed. This is set to be the only closure this month, but 3 more weekend closures on Line 1 are planned for February. And with the temperatures, yet another good reason to stay inside and stay warm. That's our newscast for tonight and for the week. Maribel Tarouk is back tomorrow at 6 with your next local newscast. I'll see you again on Monday at 11. Have a great weekend.